Okay, I'm Matt Carpenter, your co-host of Old College Try, the podcast. Today is your open grab bag Q&A. So got some great questions submitted on social media. So please, if you have questions, ask them. Send them to our socials, Instagram, wherever you follow us on socials. We will get to them. And I think today you'll benefit from hearing a lot of the same questions that your peers are out there asking. And again, if you do get anything out of today, please like us, please share us, please follow us. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, Peggy.
Hey, it's been a while that the two of us have been on here together. It's been several weeks. So.
Tale of Two Cities. Yes, Tale of Two Cities.
Exactly.
Blizzard of 26 up here in the Northeast. We're still digging out. What's your temp check today, Peggy, out there in the desert?
I'm not super happy about this, but later this week, it's going to be in the 80s. I'm like, really? It's February. I'm ready. I just want more of the Arizona winter for a while. So that's unseasonably warm for here. So hopefully it won't stick around too long. I mean, it's nice, but you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have the 60s for a while. I am a Jersey girl at heart, so I do like my seasons a little bit. But yes, I won't rub it in. We are not, there's no hardship down here at all.
Beautiful looking. It's quite beautiful looking.
Oh, snow is the most beautiful. When it's coming down and it's just, it's sparkly. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yes. So we'll enjoy it. A little bit of a nuisance, but that's okay. That is what we signed up for. So we're all right. All right, Peggy. So we got Q&A grab bag today. We got some good questions. I think that will resonate with a lot of you guys. You're probably asking, I think, at least a few of these. So we will pick each one of those off. And as always, please continue to share those with us. As you see, we try to address them as many as we can. Put them. If you don't follow our socials, please do. And that's a great place to put your questions in. I think Instagram in particular is Kathy's preference there.
Yeah, and then she'll get them to us. So don't be shy. Keep the questions coming because we do this every month.
That's right. So Peggy, for those of us that are, participating in Blizzard parties, give us some tunes that we should be thinking about exploring.
Yeah. So for our new listeners, we always do a song. We love our music. So I had to pick, I haven't picked from one of my favorite artists since we've been on the podcast. But since he's actually touring again, so little plug for everybody who is a Bruce fan. And if you're not, it is a show that is amazing. The last time he toured, which was 2 years ago, when I saw he was touring again, I was like, oh my God, because it hasn't been long. So I'm actually flying to California for the show because I can't go to Phoenix. But so with that in mind, I thought I would pick one of my favorites here. So 10th Avenue Freeze Out is one of my favorite Springsteen songs. Might not ring a bell if you're not a Bruce person. Carp already knows this was one of my favorites from our get-togethers, but it's on the album Born to Run. I mean, Springsteen has many, many, many good songs in my opinion, but that's one I love, and it's just a fun song. So recommend you check that out. He also had the movie that was all about him writing Nebraska. Completely different album. Amazing album, but just completely him writing from the heart. So, but yeah, 10th Avenue Freeze Out. Check it out. And if you are a borderline Bruce fan or a Bruce fan, definitely not a lot of shows, but I think there's still tickets. Probably not in Jersey, the Jersey and Madison Square Garden locations, but check them out. I'm not getting paid by him either for this announcement.
Not yet, Peggy. Not yet. Yeah, we would be happy to take that endorsement, though, Bruce. If you're listening, Bruce. Yeah. If you're listening.
Yeah. Please. If you have high school kids still, please follow us. We'll comp you a MyCap account.
There you go. Yeah. 10th Avenue Freeze Out will get the people going, no doubt about it. So good recommendation. My favorite version, I think, that I've seen on YouTube is, I forget what year it was, but it's at Madison Square Garden, one of these like 20-minute whatever. But that guy knows how to get going, I will say.
Well, yeah, and there's 2 shows at the Garden, and I was like, oh, I've never seen him, and I love the Garden as a venue, but I've never seen him. But I won't bore our listeners. I just couldn't make it work. But if you're in the New York area, New Jersey area, and it's probably sold out. Those sell out like that at home. They just do. So
that guy delivers. All right, Peggy.
Anyways, all right. Well, I'm going to hit you up first here. These questions are great because they cover different pieces of the journey that you guys are all on as you're finding affordable schools. So this is more when you're a senior, you've been admitted to colleges, and the person is asking, why is it taking so long to get the financial aid offers? So you might want to just share what that is,
Yep.
Matt, and then go for it.
Sure. So to your point, right? We're at this part of the process is we've been accepted into a college, and now we're waiting on bated breath to figure out, what am I going to have to pay? Am I going to get financial aid? Am I going to get a scholarship? How much? And here's where it goes back to something we say maybe more than anything, which is it depends on the college, right? Every college is different with their timelines, and how we applied to college is another huge variable. When I say how we applied to college, I mean, did we apply early action? Did we apply early decision? Did we apply regular decision? Did we apply rolling? These will also come with just different timetables. So I think a lot of parents get frustrated or concerned when they're like, all my, kids' classmates are getting these financial aid offers. What's going on with us? I can all but guarantee it just has to do with the fact that your college has just, in some cases, guys, haven't even looked at financial offers yet, right? They haven't even started to package students yet, and they're not going to do that till March 1st. And maybe these awards go out in the middle of March, or in some cases, the Ivies, the beginning of April, right? So it is not personal to you, right? You are, it's very unlikely that, they just haven't got around to you or something's wrong. Now, when in doubt, pick up the phone or send an email. I always tell families, there's nothing wrong with calling the financial aid office and say, 2 questions. Number 1, do you have everything you need from us? That's good practice, just to make sure that they are not waiting on a W-2 or a tax return. And by the way, oftentimes they'll send these requests only to the student, right? And sometimes it's not even a direct email. They just put it on their portal. Syracuse just puts those requests on the MySlice portal, which is the name of their kind of student and family portal. So it's good practice. Call the financial aid office and say, do you have everything you need? And then you can ask, when can we expect to get our financial aid offers, right? That's not a secret. They're going to tell you and set a reasonable expectation. Usually it's not a hard date. Okay. Sometimes it is. Usually it's not a hard date. They'll tell you mid-March, beginning of April, whenever it might be. So why is it taking so long? It probably has more to do of how you applied and where you applied than anything else, but always good practice. Pick up the phone, call the financial aid office, make sure that they have what they need, and go ahead and ask your question directly. When can we expect our offer?
Yeah, I mean, if you're stressed, if it's keeping you up at night, yeah, to Matt's point, just pick up the phone. And just to be clear, he mentioned the Ivies. If your child isn't admitted, you're not getting it yet, right? So if your child isn't going to hear till March 31st, I think they're all coming out with their dates that they're going to tell the kids. Then it comes after that, obviously. So one of your neighbors might have been an early decision kid and they got in, and then they're going to get it, but your child isn't going to get it for a while if they get admitted. So,
Yep, 100%. Okay, Peggy. So this one is probably a couple things to talk through here, but just I think a good question, because something that we want all of our listeners to be very comfortable, A, with what this term means, and B, what does it mean for their family? But that is, what is the student aid index?
yeah, so this is basically a completely foundational question. It's so important for you to know your student aid index. And just to make things a little bit more complicated, there's 2 of them, right? Potentially for your family. So this is when you submit financial aid forms, this gets calculated. That's why it's so important to submit the financial aid forms, the FAFSA for sure, and the CSS profile if the college requires it. Only about 250 schools do. Those get submitted. It gets calculated. It's your income, it's your assets, it's your child's income and assets. High level, that's what goes into this. Why it's so important is the college looks at that number that they calculate, the FAFSA calculates, or they calculate through the CSS on their own. And that's what they use to figure out if you're eligible for need-based aid. So they say, we cost this amount, 90,000. Your SAI is 50,000. The difference is 40,000. That's how much need eligibility you have. It doesn't mean that you can say, all right, I'm good. I can find 50 somewhere the college is giving me for most of the time that's not the case, and some of it will be loans and work study even if most of it is taken care of. So not that simple, but you have to understand what this is. And when I said the CSS profile, we call that the institutional SAI. That's kind of our inner jargon. That's not going to be the same between Harvard and Grinnell and University of Virginia. They're all going to calculate their own proprietary, we call IM, institutional methodology, SAIs. And you have no idea what your eligibility is if you don't know this. And please, there's probably people listening that are like, I'm not eligible. And some of you might be 100% spot on, but Matt and I have seen through the years, especially as college is more and more expensive, over 100,000 at a lot of schools, you could very well be eligible at certain schools and not at others that are similar schools, like a Stanford versus a Yale. It doesn't look at home equity. And I'm not going to go too far in the weeds, but they do their proprietary number crunching differently than Yale does. So please, please, please understand what these are and have some good estimates. And the best place to go to do that is to set up your MyCap account with us. mycap.collegeaidpro.com. You can set it up for free, get your numbers dialed in, and we will tell you right on your dashboard. Here's your federal SAI, and here's a range based. We understand how the colleges do things, so we're going to give you a range of like this is where it falls for different schools that require the CSS profile. If you don't have that, it's virtually impossible to shop with affordability in mind. So anything you want to add to that, Matt?
No, and I was just going to kind of piggyback on that last point because it's like you're flying blind if you don't have this, right? You're really it's impossible to be an educated consumer if you don't have a good idea of what these numbers are for your family. Don't do what so many people do, which is estimate or go with their kind of gut instincts or hey, my neighbor's was this, my brother-in-law's was this. No, find out what yours is, okay? Because that is where we are going to start to go help you find out which colleges are going to be most affordable for your family. That is the starting point, okay? Go find your student aid index today. You don't have to guess where, mycap.collegeaidpro.com.
Yeah, yeah. And it can change throughout your 4 years. If you're listening and you have a college kid in school and you just lost your job, boom, you need to get in there because it's going to change and you can appeal. So just keep that in mind. Next question. So this is going into the student loan realm. So I'm going to add a few words here, but what the person is asking is what's the difference between the subsidized and unsubsidized loan? And what they're referencing are federal direct student loans that are automatically awarded to students as long as they have the FAFSA on file.
Yeah, and so you're guaranteed to get this, right? Peg just said it, automatically award, doesn't matter what your income is, doesn't matter what you have in terms of savings. If you do a FAFSA, your student is guaranteed to have the option to borrow up to $5,500 their freshman year, up to $6,500 their sophomore year, and then it caps out at the moment $7,500 junior and senior years. Every single one of us is entitled to this $27,000. Now, we have a lot of reasons. I won't go into all of them right now, but we have a lot of reasons why we recommend every family take advantage of this loan. If you're a family that actually needs to borrow, this is the best place to borrow. If you're fortunate enough where you don't even need to borrow, still take advantage of this and pay it off for your kids because since it's just in their name, they're going to graduate with established credits. And again, we have another laundry list of reasons why we'd recommend you take advantage of this in some capacity, but those are two great ones. Now, some of us, when we're offered this, for example, $5,500 in this federal direct student loan freshman year, as much of $3,500 of it could be what's called subsidized. Okay. And anytime we see a percentage of this loan is subsidized, we always want to take advantage of that because basically it means the federal government is picking up the interest while we're in college on this loan, and then we get a 6-month grace period afterwards. So that's free money, essentially. I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but because we have to pay it back, but it is the closest thing to free money that we're going to find, right? So again, for 4.5 years, if I'm a freshman, I'm going to be given this money that I don't have to pay back and no interest is going to be accruing. Unsubsidized, you can probably guess we're still getting that money. We're going to have to pay it back, but the meter starts running on the interest right away as soon as that money is dispersed in freshman year. So the big difference is, right, with these federal direct subsidized loans, when we're offered these in our financial aid package, it will differentiate between a subsidized amount, no interest for 4.5 years, and a subsidized amount, no interest for 4.5 years, and subsidized amount, we just have to know that the interest is starting to accrue as soon as that percentage of the loan is dispersed.
Yep, yep. And the only thing I would add is I always say, to me, this is the only loan that truly is a student loan. They throw around that word. The reason why I say that is there's no cosigner. It's under your child's social security number. They're going to build a credit history. They're on the hook for this. They can't come after grandma or mom and dad or a guardian or anybody else. So it truly is the only thing that is a student loan. So. Okay.
It's an excellent point. Everything else is going to require a cosigner at a minimum, right?
Yep, yep.
All right, Peggy, what is the difference? Okay, so this is an admissions decision, okay? What is the difference between being waitlisted and deferred?
Okay, so let's hit deferred first. What can happen is and this happened to my son, he applied to, for example, BC, early action. And BC said, we're not rejecting you, but we're going to defer you to the regular admission pool. So that just means they didn't want him at early action, but they weren't ready to say, nah, we don't want you at all. So that's what deferral means. And there are things you can do, with the college to kind of stay on their radar. Waitlist, on the other hand, is okay, we made our decisions. We're not saying no, but we kind of are. Like, they're basically saying we're not accepting you now, so that you would sometimes you won't find out on wait lists many times until after May 1 if you get in, but we're putting you on this list. So if we don't get a full class, if we don't get as many yeses from the kids that we're giving a yes to, we're going to go look at our wait list and we're going to students off of that, and we might say, hey, Matt, you interested in coming? You're on the wait list. And this routinely happens in the summer before they go to college, routinely. So most of the time you're accepting an offer somewhere else and you're on the wait list. You're going to tell them, yes, I want to be on the wait list. And then you may have a decision down the road if the college reaches out and says, hey, we'd like to offer you a spot in the class at this point, whenever it is. So 2 different things. You could be deferred. And I think this might have happened with my son. I can't remember. He might have been deferred by BC and then they waitlisted him too. Honestly, I think that's what happened. And it was fine. I mean, he wasn't going to go to BC. But so he actually had both of those things happen to him. But they're just different things in different parts of the process.
Oh, he did better than me. I got the outright denial, Peggy. No deferral.
Well, but it wasn't a huge, I wasn't super psyched about BC because, I'm a Notre Dame football fan. So, and it was all fine. It all worked out. Well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think historically we had generally, and this is supported by, a lot of data, kind of told folks that deferrals, wait lists we just have to plan that those are deferred or those are delayed no's, essentially. Now, especially the last couple of years where colleges are just taking best guesses with their yields and taking some, I don't know, risks, if that's the word. We've just seen more acceptances from deferrals and from wait lists than we have been used to historically. So we still have to there should be a healthy amount of pessimism in there when we're deferred or we're waitlisted, but is not, quote unquote death sentence that it used to be, right? So, for whatever that's worth, I think it's worth sharing there. But for the waitlist in particular, given that we're not going to know about this, there are exceptions, but in most cases, we're not going to know about this until after May 1st. We truly have to put that on the back burner and make a decision, put a deposit down at another school before May 1st, and maybe we get some good news, after that, right? Later in the spring, in the year. in the early summer. Peggy, you said it, still important if it's a school we really want to go to continue to show that demonstrated interest. I would also ask the question because colleges treat waitlisted students differently if they come off. In some cases, they're not eligible for financial aid. So you'll come off the wait list and we'll accept you, but we're not giving you any money. That's not everybody. But if the bottom line matters for your family, I would ask that question, right? We've also seen cases, not surprisingly, that if you say you will withdraw our financial aid application, if that helps us come off the wait list, again, at some schools, that can be meaningful. Again, not every school, and that's where it goes back to the classic, it depends who we're talking about.
Yeah, and I would say as a parent, you want to help your child find a school that they're super psyched about to call home for the next 4 years. And if that comes through, great, but you're not laying awake every night going, all right, he only kind of likes this other school. This comes through, then we really feel good. That's not the way to go about this because wait lists can be very long, and to Matt's point, you have no control and there's no transparency on who they're choosing to go off the wait list or not. So that's just my parent advice about how to tee this up with your child.
Good call.
Okay. All right. So, Matt, will our financial aid package change dramatically if I'm working now, but I didn't work last year?
Well, you're gonna love this answer, everybody. It depends, right? And that is just the answer, right? Of course, if I was talking to this parent, I'd say, "What college are you at? Let me see last year's financial aid package," right? Because, for example, and I think I can offer some value here. If the financial aid package last year or this current year just included merit-based scholarships, it doesn't matter, right? That's why it's really important to know when we get our financial aid offer, is this a merit-based scholarship that I can count on being there for all 4 years, so long as my student maintains a minimum GPA? Or is this a need-based grant? Is this tied to my family's financial situation, right? Largely driven by income that could absolutely change from one year to the next if we get a job, if we lose a job, if we get a bonus, if we don't get a bonus, right? Usually need-based grants will change proportionally as your income changes, right? Or if you have some type of, major event from an asset standpoint, for better or for worse. So that is with the information that we have here. I wouldn't be able to say one way or the other, but again, that would be my answer to the best of my abilities with the information we do have, right? It depends how much, it depends if it's a need-based grant or a merit-based scholarship. And that's going to dictate the answer to your question. Now, again, for this parent, if they're listening, I'd say if you haven't created an account with us already, we'll tell you exactly, right? Put your information into MyCap, collegeaidpro.com, put what your income was, put the college, and put what your income is going to be, and you will see that before and after change, if anything, down to $1.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peggy, why do colleges keep sending my kid emails about submitting my enrollment deposit when they haven't even sent us our financial aid package yet?
Because they want your kid to come. They care. The admissions just, they want your child. They've admitted your child, maybe to what Matt just said, given them $15,000 a year in a provost scholarship. So they're ready to close this up. They're not considering your affordability and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people are very emotional about this process, and they love a school and they get really deep, and they just want you to make that decision. And the financial aid office tells you that is what it is. Maybe you'll get more money, maybe you won't. So it's really that's how it works. And sometimes they'll even send things about a housing deposit on top of it. And there's a little pressure tactics there. Like, if you want to get the best dorm, you should do this now. And people get really stressed out. You do not have to send that enrollment deposit until May 1. Those are the rules. That's why they're doing it. These guys, most of these colleges are nonprofits, but as Matt and I have said over and over again, they are big businesses. They function like corporations. They spend a ton of money on marketing, and they're trying to get your child on campus once they've admitted them. So it's basically that. They're not thinking of this, let's help the Carpenter family make a prudent financial decision as well as academic and personal fit. That's just the bottom line. They're trying to get you to say yes and commit.
This is a big business transaction, and you guys are on the opposite side of the fence of the colleges, and that's okay. That's what business transactions are, but they don't have your best's financial interest at heart, and you're naive if you think that's the case. Now, I'm not vilifying them. I'm not saying they want you to have, you know, unsuccessful outcomes, right, at their school, but they're on the opposite side of this transaction. And if you were, again, thought Peg and I and anybody on our team were kind of exaggerating about colleges being business and all that, you'll experience it here when they're using these pressure tactics to get you to sign on the bottom line, basically before you've, sent your deposit, before you've got your package, or before you've appealed. So you cannot give in to this pressure, right? You have to appeal and get a better deal for you. But we appreciate the challenge because it is stressful, right? And maybe you got your kid going, just send it into them. I want to be in the best dorm, and it's not a pleasant part of the process.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a good question because we already talked about subsidized and unsubsidized loans. So the parent wrote, "Can we pay off our daughter's federal subsidized and unsubsidized loans right after she graduates as a grad gift, or do we have to make monthly payments? Are there penalties to prepay?" So great questions.
Yeah, educational loans are a little bit unique in the sense that there are no prepayment penalties, right? So it's different than when we pay off our mortgage early or when we refi, things like this. There are no prepayment penalties with educational loans. We also like this because borrowing for college gets pretty complex, and even within quote unquote traditional educational loans, there's a huge spectrum, and there is no one size fits all for families. But one thing that we can say kind of universally here, there's no prepayment penalties. So you could do it all lump sum as a graduation gift when they graduate. You could chip away at it while they're in college as it's feasible. You can do that just kind of ad hoc. You don't have to have a structured payment plan in a lot of these loans if they're deferred. So either one is absolutely, going to be a great and awesome grad gift, right? And you don't have to, there is no obligation to do that while your daughter's in school. And there's also, again, no prepayment penalties is the short answer to your question, and very nice graduation gift.
Yeah, and you can even cherry pick. Like you can go into the loan servicer and say, website for your child and say, "I'm going to pay all those unsubsidized loans because interest is accruing. Let the government keep paying the interest on the other part." So you have a lot of flexibility there.
Okay, Peggy, can students take out private loans without a cosigner or parent loan beyond? Okay, so this family's been doing their homework because they know that they can take out the federal direct student loan without a cosigner. But beyond that, can students take out private loans without a cosigner?
Yeah, so we mentioned this a few minutes ago when I said that's the only student loan. The answer is no. So it's going to be, there's state level loans that some states give out, and then there's the private loans, and there's always going to be a cosigner. It just is what it is. The parent loan that was mentioned in the question, that's a parent loan. It's called a plus loan now. Used to be called a parent plus. I continue to call it that because I want it to be clear for all of you. This is one parent, not even both of you, applying through studentaid.gov. It's very easy. It's very quick. Unless you, have major credit issues, and I could tell you stories of people that have been approved that I've worked with, that's just terrible that they've been approved. That is only one parent. So even if you tell your child, "Well, I'll go get this $20,000 for your freshman year," but you're going to owe it, not on paper. That is your debt. And if something happens with your child, you have a falling out, God forbid, or something, you're on the hook for that money. So the short answer is either the parent is fully responsible with a plus loan, or it's a co-signing situation. And some of the private lenders, like they'll have a deal, so many on-time payments, co-signer release. You can look for that kind of stuff, but not from the get-go. There's always going to be a cosigner.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to look at it right now. Are there some exceptions and some unique loan products out there? They exist, okay, but those are really the exceptions rather than the rules. And even in those cases, the student usually has to have some type of established credit, some type of earning power. So again, when we're talking about teenagers, that's incredibly rare. Right. So again, I think I would agree with you, Peggy, that the basic answer to that question is no. After the federal direct student loan, you are going to require a cosigner. It doesn't necessarily have to be a parent, but somebody with established credit is going to have to be on the hook. The only other thing I will say is that if it is a scenario where a parent tries to take out a PLUS loan, but they are denied, now the student can borrow an extra $4,000 via that federal direct student loan. So that is one scenario where they could borrow a little bit more without a cosigner. But again, we're talking about $4,000 more dollars. So maybe that's enough to move the needle for some families, but for others, we're talking about a bigger delta. And again,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, and those will be unsubsidized. That was the family that I had do that for that exact reason, and then the dad got approved. Shouldn't get approved, but he did. I was trying to get that extra $4,000 for the
right.
student. Yeah. So, yeah. And it's important that you realize this, because I've had people through the years that are divorced, and they'll come to me and say, we're going to do a third, a third, a third. Mom does a third, dad does a third, and my kid's going to do a third. I'm like, your kid can't do a third without you guys co-signing. So it's just, if you sit back and think about it, it's logical. They're a bad risk. They don't, unless they're sitting on tons of dollars and a lot, which most teenagers, to Matt's point, aren't, and they don't have income. So they're not a good risk. So it 100% makes sense from the lender perspective. Well, that's it for today. Keep them coming, as we said at the beginning. These are great questions, and you're paying it forward, because other people are going to have the same questions, and they hear these answers, and it helps them, it helps you. So it's a win-win for everybody. So, if you're on Instagram, if you're one of these people that you don't like to be on socials, I totally get it. You can always email us too at support@collegeaidpro.com and just say, hey, I'm a podcast follower. I know Peg and Matt always do this on the last Thursday of the month. Here's my question, and they'll get it to us. So, and we'll make sure that we get all your questions answered.
Thank you, Peggy. Good to be back. Good to have the band back together here. Enjoy your 60 to 80 degree weather. We'll enjoy
your beautiful snow and making a snowman maybe with your daughter.
We're gonna do some sledding later. I promised.
Nice.
I promised Emma we're gonna hit the slopes later. So we'll do some sledding. So.
Very nice.
All right, Peggy. Until next time. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's episode with myself, Matt Carpenter, and co-host Peggy Keogh, the fairy godmother of financial aid. Great questions submitted by you all. Continue to send them our way. Please like us. Please share us. Please follow us. And we can't wait to see you next week. Thank you. Hold on, Eileen, I almost forgot you. Today's episode, how dare I, as always, was expertly edited and produced by Eileen Campbell.